Greetings survivors and friends, SHADOWFRAX here with a quick roundup of all the major things in this week's Rust patch, plus a new Rust mobile trailer, finding weapons with metal detectors and a big change coming to wire snapping. But first, you thought hardcore couldn't get any harder? Hold my bottle of water. One of this month's main foci has been an overhaul of hardcore mode, and it's finally here. I checked yesterday and there was a grand total of 39 extremely hardcore players on this mode, so we'll have a look in a minute and see how many there are now. The main changes are Fog of War, which obscures the map until you explore it, and a craftable compass that shows you which way you're pointing. Duh. But also must be equipped in your belt to be able to see your position on the map. And this item will also be available in non-hardcore modes, but is only really useful as a Jack Sparrow cosplay accessory. You can't craft firearms in hardcore mode now, they must all be found in the wild instead. In addition, they can't be researched, are removed from the tech tree, and won't be available in vendors, but you can sell them in your own vending machines. You can also now repair any weapon in hardcore without needing a BP for it, which is a plus point. Ammo is 5 times more expensive, upkeep has been doubled, bag time is now 15 minutes, and beds are 10, and safe zone protections have been completely removed, although vendors and facilities are still present. According to the blog, the goal with game modes such as Primitive and Hardcore is to offer a fresh way to experience Rust, see how players respond, and try out different ideas. The team don't expect them to stay popular for long, usually just a couple of months, but they're not a major development focus or time sink, as most of the team is working on bigger features behind the scenes. Not a time sink. Actually, I remember Primitive being an enormous time sink. Or was that just me? I think, though, it would be a nice idea to allow server owners to impose Fog of War on their servers if they like, if your comments recently are anything to go by. Okay, let's see how many people are playing hardcore right now with all these changes. That's over 1,000 now, with 300 odd in softcore and 100 odd in primitive. I'll try to remember to check this again in the next vid, but what game mode would you like to see if you could add one? And do you think Fog of War should be an option for server owners? Tell me in the comments, please. The new menu, Pilot DLC, Rust Mobile and wire snapping changes next. But first, I have a Rusty sponsor. Are you bored of the grind and thirsting for a better Rust experience? Then here's why you should try Vex Rust. Choose the US or EU server that suits you and find one tailored to your group size. Whether you're a lone wolf, duo, trio, quad or zerg, there's an option here for you. There are 2 times and 5 times servers with adjusted recycling, smelting, upkeep and gather rates, plus cleaner, meaner loot tables with all the stupid junk removed. Blueprints shared with your team across all 2 times servers, extended workbench radius and recyclers at every safe zone, oil rig and dome, plus custom heli vendors and drone marketplaces at selected monuments. Enjoy custom events such as cargo plane crashes, scientist convoys and airfield airdrops. Plus, all servers run custom anti-cheat, ESP protection is always on, and you can enjoy raid alarms via Rust Plus. Earn ranks just by playing, climb the leaderboard, enter raffles for exclusive prizes, and be part of a huge community of over 20,000 Discord members. Just search vex.gg in the modded tab and get in there. So, as you've probably seen by now, there's a new Hazmat Set on the block, costing the same as the others it seems, and here's what's included. The central item is the Pilot Hazmat Suit, which has all the same stats as standard, so nothing pay to win there, and that's mostly in muted colours, but with a couple of bright yellow bits, so not the most stealthy bit of clobber. Then there's the M15 skin for the Semi, which again has no change in stats, just looks, and with a slightly different admire animation. Unlike the Semi though, it does have glow-in-the-dark iron sights. There's a very orange-black box flight recorder reskin for the small wood box, much harder to lose as a result, and the colliders are exactly the same. Much like the Ice Throne, there's a kit-bashed looking ejector seat with some fuselage and a couple of missiles, and lastly there's the Pilot Code Lock, our first reskin for this item and the most subtle in the pack. Most noticeable are the lights, which are arranged vertically, and the whole unit is a bit darker. Oh, and by the way, if you're watching this and I'm not speaking English or this is not on my channel, then this video's been stolen. I see this is happening to a lot of Rust YouTubers at the moment by people who can't be bothered to make their own content. The new menu's here, as shown in previous vids with a long overdue refresh. Everything's much tidier with a horizontal line of tabs at the top and the social stuff at the bottom. New features that are especially good are the skin viewer, which lets you gawp at stuff you might like to buy on store and items you already own, and the server info, which now lets you preview a server's map. Unless it's hardcore, of course, and see what the queue currently is as well, if there is one. Then you've got the newly reorganised options menu, which even has previews of what some of them do, and the gesture wheel, which lets you drag and drop gestures onto it. There was actually some optimisation this month. You should hopefully find going from desktop to being in a server is up to 65% faster now, thanks to a few big shifts behind the scenes. This mainly has to do with asset loading, as warming up your assets can take so long especially in the winter, and you can read all about how this was accomplished in the blog if you wish. There's also been a big improvement to projectile performance, making them 2 times faster to calculate, and should make a big difference when things get spicy. You'll notice now that all biomes have their own fog and colour settings, and these are something that can be seen from the outside looking in, not just when you're in them, which prevents unfair advantages. The lighting effects are also rather nice in certain conditions. Volumetric clouds are also an option now, although not obligatory, and there are several quality settings for these. To run through a few other changes, miniguns in turrets etc. will now need to spin up before firing, same as if you were holding one. There are on-screen indicators for admins to show when God Mode and Invisible are turned on. There are 2 new keybinds in the options to place a map marker at your position and to remove all map markers. Weapon stats update dynamically when attachments are added and removed now. The tugboat can honk the same way cars can. The painting UI has an autosave option, which can be toggled on and that saves every 30 seconds to prevent art disasters, and in a big change, dropped weapons will now go into a buried mode when they despawn and will stay discoverable with metal detectors for the next 24 hours. They won't be found exactly where they were dropped, so it's not to be used as a way to stash them, but it does make metal detectors more useful and makes it worth checking out recent battle sites if you're brave enough. Hitting static objects in safe zones no longer flags you as hostile. The small refinery is now a heat source. The syringe animation has had a rework, and distant foliage has had some shadow improvements which should stop trees etc. looking like they're radioactive during sunsets. For a full list of all the small changes and fixes, please see the dev blog. But now, a few days ago, a new trailer for Rust Mobile dropped, and does that rock look more like a boulder, or is it just me? Anyway, it all looks very cinematic and fully featured, and I'm told it should be almost one-to-one with PC Rust. Not crossplay, of course, though, and apparently pre-registration is now open, so it doesn't look like it'll be that far off. There's a new batch of Twitch drops available right now, as you can see on the blog, and Rust is currently 50% off. Looking ahead now to next month, it's looking like it'll be a lightish one, as for some odd reason people are being allowed to go on holiday. But there should be that lighting DLC dropping in September, and I can now actually show you a proposed tweak coming to wire snapping next month. Subject to change, which should speed things up a lot and will allow you to snap wires by looking directly at the prefab rather than the connection, as you can see being demonstrated here, and this works with other things like pipe work and industrial stuff, etc, etc. Let me know if you like this option in the comments, please. Looking further ahead, the naval update should be cresting in October's patch, which means we should be able to start testing it out in September sometime, and I will of course keep you on board with any info I get about that. Right, you are now up to date. Leave a like and a sub. Check me out on my socials, including my Steam group, and you can support my work here via YouTube membership, super thanks, and on Patreon. I shall catch you all soon, but in the meantime, keep calm and stay rusty. Cheerio. Hold my bottle of water.